Jewish state will live forever. We are not afraid of Islamist terrorists. We are not afraid of Hamas, Hezbollah. We are not afraid of ISIS. We will live forever. We will live forever. We are not afraid of terrorists. Remember that big man, yeah? We are not afraid of terrorists. Oh yeah? We will live forever. We will live forever. Palestinians kill children. We will live forever. We will live forever. Stand up for freedom, or you will no longer have freedom. I'm Israel Chai. I'm Israel Chai. I step back. Step back. Move. Give it back. Stop. Give it back. The Jewish people will live forever, despite your best efforts. I'm Israel Chai. I'm Israel Chai. I'm Israel Chai.
Welcome to another episode of the Soothing Semantics podcast. I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, leave your comments, share the episode, family friends, dogs, cats, and of course, for all of your real estate needs, make sure to check out Rafi the Realtor on Instagram. Check out my weekly newsletter in the link in bio. And I would love to help you with all of your South Florida real estate needs. Without further ado,
poor effort that, Rafi.
The Jewish Thomas Shelby is now on the episode.
Okay, that's a bit better. Yeah,
I do a
Jewish
decent...
Tommy Shelby. I thought I would live up to the name, and I'm glad. Thank you, Rafi. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine, sir. We found him in the wild, a new National Geographic episode, the Peaky Blinder Jew.
I was actually just down at the races in Tel Aviv. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to start wearing with the hat because that's actually, you've touched on something there. I'm actually currently just putting together a poster for my free self-defense introduction session. I'm going to host on the beach for influencers and people who are lucky enough to get in, because it's not a very big class, but it'll be for free, and I'll do a few of them. And what I want to do is get some influencers mixed in there, get some content from these sessions, and inspire Jews around the world to think these influencers, which I love, in Israel on the beach can learn self-defense. So what am I doing here in the diaspora, surrounded by all this hatred, not learning? So maybe being seen as the Jewish Tommy Shelby isn't too bad, but I want to change culture, man. I've been really thinking about why I do it recently, and I have a very strong purpose.
Well, let's backtrack for a second, because a lot of people don't know who you are. So I want to. Well, a lot of people do, right? I have a lot of Jewish followers who will be very excited to listen to this, who are probably sitting in their chairs. And they have their tea and they're very stoked. But I do want to, if you don't mind, sir, to give us a bit of a background, not of the underworld that you left behind, right?
The stuff I did in the overworld, you mean?
Right. The life you had as part of the blinders.
The public stuff, yeah.
Right. But give
us. I used to teach. I grew up in Northwest London. My name is Sammy Yahood on all platforms. Yahood meaning Jew in Arabic. I come from mixed heritage. One of my grandparents was Egyptian. I did a lot of traveling in the Arab world, which is why I chose the name Yahood, because it's the derogatory term they use for us. So if you want to think of it as a bad thing, I think of it as one of my most positive traits, one of the things I'm most proud of. And as I saw at least probably 4 years ago, anti-Semitism very steadily rising without a legitimate way of stopping it. There was no one really doing anything other than talking about it and getting upset about it, and maybe a bit of litigation, but this doesn't stop people. So, I mean, I was teaching Krav Maga for the Jewish community as well as doing security as volunteering. And after the war hit, I was actually in construction and real estate myself. I worked in consultancy for about 6, 7 years. And I mean, the Monday after the Saturday of October the 7th, I never felt the same again. I could never focus on that job again, or like I did in the past. And I just went all out in what can I do for the diaspora and for Israel. So increased teaching Krav Maga. And then I started, the reason you know me is because I made a video. I started going to these anti-Israel hate marches in London. I wore a keffiyeh and I was interviewing protesters. I thought, wow, maybe I can change people's minds. I can have a discourse, an open discourse, and see what happens, which is a naive way to think. But I learned very, very quickly. Probably after my first outing, I learned that I'm not going to change people's minds. And if I do, it's on such a significant level, it's not going to be a drop in the bucket. Who's it going to help? Might make me feel all right, or the people watching the videos. But what's actually going to make an impact? And that is inspiring the Jewish people and people who love free society. Regardless, my content was reaching what, probably 80% echo chamber, 80% Jews or people who agree with me. So the actual benefit of making them look ignorant at a protest or having this discourse and for them to just get angry and assault me, which happened a few times. It just wasn't, I realized actually what was even coming from those videos was Jews were being inspired that someone's going and doing this. Someone's brave enough to go and do this. So I leaned into that. I started going and waking up encampments at universities, which I had great fun doing. I highly recommend if they come back due to the warm weather. But that was good fun. But honestly, I'm going to go back to what I said. There was no legitimate, credible ways in which we were combating Jew hatred or fascism, the real fascism, which is this socialist, leftist nonsense. Jews and real lefties used to ensure physical consequences at these fascist rallies. Ever since the dawn of the 1900s, all the way up until pretty much the 90s, mostly Jewish and anti-fascist, real anti-fascist groups would infiltrate these proper fascist groups like the Nazis. It was actually, again, back then it was protected by the government class and it was violent. The only way you can get these people to go home is to intimidate them. And that, I'm not saying it's the answer now, but I'm saying we have to be there in their faces, showing them that we're the strong ones. Because that's going off. See, it's left that mark. But because really the real problem is the weakest people in society are the most dangerous people. From your high school bully to Adolf Hitler, the weakest people left unchecked are the most dangerous people. So, and that manifests in 100,000 people with blue hair and nose piercings and trans flags chanting for Islamism in the streets every week. Together, they're extremely dangerous. As individuals, let's just say I wouldn't even want to be a fly in the wall in their home. It would be a depressing state of affairs. But we've let them gain this much traction. We've let this happen. Does that mean we're weaker than them? I know this is a very long intro.
No, it's great, dude. I
It's
love it.
just kind of it's just coming out here.
Sammy, believe me, I have a response. I have things to
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I've identified the problem in that we leave these weak people unchecked. And the most significant thing that's missing from how we combated fascism previously, which was ensuring physical consequences, what can we do now that maybe isn't that exactly, but I think it looks something like going and waking them up at 4 a.m. when they camp on our universities and shouting at them and calling them the terrorists that they are. It doesn't look pretty. Neither does the difficult conversation you have to have with your boss or your wife. It's not a confrontation. It's not something you should avoid just because it's difficult.
100%.
On to you.
Yes. So first, beautifully put. I mean, the horseshoe theory is live and well, right? London
Mm.
seems to be getting hit harder than almost anyone else. France, Paris, London, they're really getting hit hard. New York, California, any of these liberal leaning states or cities around the world. And I think somebody put it very interesting. We have a like an instifada, very interesting. But now there's almost like this internet holocaust where the much of the world on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that's being blasted in front of everyone's faces are is death in Gaza. They're not posting anything about Sueda. They're not posting anything about Sudan. They're not posting anything about any of the other atrocities that are happening around the world. The Uyghurs in China, no one knows anything about that. Americans would have no. If I went around the street in Miami and said, "Hey, so what do you think about the Uyghurs?" They'd be like, "The who? Huh?" They would probably think that I was mispronouncing the N word. I'm not, because it almost sounds similar, and they would think I was being racist. Nobody knows any of this.
Then they'll say, "What's going on in China? Where's China?"
Yeah, they wouldn't know. They wouldn't be able to pinpoint China on the
Yeah.
map. And so I think the only thing that'll change all of this wokeism, either on the right or left, is well, on the left, with all these blue-haired morons, is seeing what radical Islam, for example, actually would do, seeing what a lack of freedom actually would actually look like, and they're supporting something that wouldn't give them any of these freedoms. What I'm curious to know quickly, and then we'll move on to the next thing is why do you think the horseshoe theory is so strong with people like that? These woke kinds of people.
The horseshoe
They
theory
almost seem
being
to
both the left
fetishize.
and the right comes back to the Jews. Is that what you mean?
Well, that as well, but it almost seems like they're physically attracted. I was talking to a guest of mine who I've had a few times on my show. His name is Harris Sultan. He's an Australian. He has a sizable YouTube channel, big show. Ex-Muslim guy. He's an atheist. He's from Pakistani Muslim origin, but he grew up in Australia. Very, very intelligent guy. And uh, I was talking to him about this. I think a lot of the woke women, for example, are very physically attracted to Islamists. I think they find them sexy. I really do.
Well, they have a thing for brown skin, don't they? Because they're so guilty in their white skin. It's all you're talking about the horseshoe, the weird red-green alliance, the Islam and or the communism in Islam.
Right.
And let me tell you my theory on that. I something that I was very privileged to have got 6 months of traveling after finishing I was working in construction, but doing a part-time degree on the side. And when I finished that part-time degree, I put my job on hold and went traveling for 6 months, which ended 2 weeks before October 7th. And it was a
Right.
real character building experience going to Egypt and Jordan and Mexico on my own, going camping in the highlands of Scotland on my own. All these really difficult, sorry, not difficult, different experiences. Going to places like Egypt and experiencing people who are too afraid to talk about politics around the dinner table with their family, any sort of politics, because that's what tyranny does. And witnessing most people living just at the breadline, just making enough to earn money for. Same in Mexico. Um, and first of all, I think a lot of this comes about in the West, and I've written about this in my recent article. You can find it on my Twitter, Sammy Yahood. It's called Priorities. I think we've become embedded in lives of comfort in the West. So when you see whether it's the left or the right, they find this scapegoat because they're dissatisfied with their lives, with the Jews. Whether it's Islamism and communism, to go back to my travels, I really witnessed stark differences in reality. like I would fly from the UK to Egypt or fly from Israel to Egypt, and just see the difference in people's demeanor, and just general life. And what you see is that, and what you really realize is when you've understood what communism does and what socialism really does to society and to people, is that they actually have the same outcome. They have the same outcome. So you basically end up with the oligarchy, the government class with the billions. The only way you can have the billions is be in government. Like, for example, the owner of TikTok is part of the government in China, because you can't have a massive corporation in China without being part of the government. They basically buy you. So in Egypt, it's the same thing. If you're not part of the government, you're not rich, pretty much. So you have that class, and then you have the everyone else class, and that's what communism does. The old George Orwell phrase, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others."
Ah,
It's a
it's
little, it's a really great quote from Animal Farm, and it's because the pigs in Animal Farm, they the animals take over from the humans, and the pigs take over from all the animals, and the pig go and live in the human's house.
right.
It's like it's crazy. It's like this communism is such a beautiful idea that everyone's equal. No one's ever going to have to fight for food again. No one's going to hoard wealth. But
That
really,
actually touches on a great thing we're gonna move into. We're gonna nicely merge into after this. Yeah, keep going.
humans are by nature competitive, and they are driven in different ways to different extents. So when you go to places like Egypt and you witness there's these glass ceilings above everyone's heads, and you witness this depressive state. They have a unique happiness and culture, and they have their fun, but it's they live in squalor, and they know it, and they know that there's no they can't leave the country. Men can't leave the country without serving the government military. So we don't actually understand the privilege we have with our freedoms.
100%. It's the Arab society is very interesting because on one hand it can be some of the warmest. It's people in Arab culture are often extremely hospitable. They really, they're
Oh, they're
very
the
warm
best.
people. Yeah,
They are the
they're just
best. It's
super
not.
warm.
Arabs are not the problem. It's Islam.
Yeah, yeah. See, that is the fucking truth of the matter.
Try and call me a racist. Try if you have anything between your head and you call me a racist for saying Islam is the problem, then
Mhm.
you're not. You're
I
not.
have I put together so many videos in the last 2 weeks. I have a bunch. I'm gonna send them all to you, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of these videos. But I'm gonna send. Ironically, or not so ironically, a lot of these clerics, these imams, are coming out of Britain. No surprise. Some of the most radicalized Muslims live in England.
You want to hear that crazy stat just off the back of that?
Yeah, go ahead.
More British Muslims have left and joined ISIS than have ever joined the British Armed Forces. That's a fact. Google it. It's a fact. It's just like, how are there any Jews living there anymore?
It's insane. The fact that there are still British and French Jews, it's nuts, dude.
Even forgetting the Jews, what is crazy to me is that the Brits aren't fighting back in any meaningful or haven't
Well,
until
why aren't
now.
they? Because Brits can be pretty tough people, man.
I put it down to being gaslit into submission. I keep using that phrase. I've
Right.
coined that phrase recently, basically to describe the UK, because we've first of all we place an immense amount of trust in the BBC as a society. That's the problem with having a government funded media channel. But we've been a free society for so long, so that's on the face of it not such a problem, right? But when it gets
Right.
captured by the leftist civil service, which are like a gang, of
So
ideology.
The BBC has been giving them the BBC, so to speak.
Well, and it's being, oh, I see. And it's public funded, taxpayer funded. Um,
Yeah.
so you got stuff like the BBC, you got the government arresting people for what they say on social media, arresting characters like Tommy Robinson, who isn't really a racist and he isn't really a terrible person. They just arrested him on stupid charges because he has been basically the number one figure for the
Yeah.
British opposition to this hostile takeover.
Well, what do you think? it's interesting because what do you think of multiculturalism in general? You know, on one hand, it seems to have its pros. You look at places like New York. I live in South Florida. You look at places like South Florida. South Florida is not as multicultural as New York is. You have much fewer uh, cultures. You have white people. You do have a bunch of different Latin groups, but it's basically Jewish, white, Latin. Those are the primary groups. You do have a sprinkle of all kinds, but you don't have a large Arab Muslim group here. You don't have very few Asians of any sort. You don't have a large Indian population. You have a very select few.
Well,
Um,
multiculturalism is, let's talk about immigration first. There's no inherent problem with controlled immigration with a very strict focus on assimilation. There's no, I mean, I'm a product of third generation. I'm the third generation of migrants. My blood is 0% British, zero.
right, right.
Third and fourth generation. Um, and that's a success story. And there's, whether you're black, you're Indian, whatever, there's so much success in the immigration to the UK. But the assimilation, I'm using my lens of the UK as my understanding, has got worse and worse and worse since the 80s, really, to the point where there's no actual desire to assimilate them. We're now just kind of, either the government wants to take down society by importing these people, or they're being strong-armed by the EU,
Mhm.
which charges Hungary €1 million a day to keep illegal migrants out. It's just extortion. So there's definitely an element of the fact that we're being extorted to push these crazy ideologies of multiculturalism. But to actually talk about multiculturalism, if there is a focus with the immigration on assimilation and it's controlled, theoretically it might not be a problem. Um, but, and this is controversial, I'm being careful how I word this. As humans, we are, first of all, we're animals, and we are by nature tribal. Family focused, family, and then tribe. But tribe is the family. Jews are a perfect example. Ethnic minorities are a perfect example of that. Um, so I think the left has a real obsession with trying to say, stop racism, end this, end that. It's not
Mhm.
possible. There'll always be people with bad intentions, right? If you're going to go up to someone and be racist to them, then you've had a bad day and you've taken it out in a terrible way. Um, the same way as whether you commit a sexual crime, they want to say, end this. You're not going to be able to end these things because it's part of our nature as animals. We've almost got too clever for our own good with all this technology and luxury around us that we don't realize we are tribal animals.
Beautifully said, bro. I bring this up all the time to explain the Israel-Palestinian conflict, the overall Muslim-Jewish conflict, because people love to have these whataboutist discussions. That's why I can't wait to debate Dave Smith at some point. I'm sure you know who he is. Because he loves to have these utopian Narnia-like discussions of like, you shouldn't kill civilians. Dude, to slide over to this for a moment, there's so many things to unpack, but it's like people have an issue with Israel being this ethno-religious state. Meanwhile, most of the Middle East operates that way. At the same time, in order to keep a Jewish state, we have to prioritize Jewish people. There's no other way to do it. So we either prioritize Jewish people in the land of Israel as a Jewish ruled state and potentially offend the other people living in it, which quite frankly I think they should get a grip and grow up, because if they really don't like it, they should go elsewhere. If they want to go to a state that prioritizes Muslims, there's over 50 of them. The country Israel still gives freedom to everyone, but it has to put its family first. So to go back to your human nature discussion, if we want to live in a safe Jewish state that protects its Jewish people, it has to say that the idea, the narrative is we are cool with everyone. We are happy and we protect our minorities. You have all the freedoms we have, but it is a Jewish state. So our first and most important goal is to ensure the safety and security of the Jewish people in
Mm.
Israel and anywhere else. Where if they want to come, escaping persecution, or they want to make aliyah because they want to make aliyah, they're welcome to come back. And we don't have to make excuses for it.
But
It's
that's
time.
just the survival of a state, any state.
Right.
Yes, the Jewish state is a great example because, and that's also it's a funny example about multiculturalism as well, because we have all been in exile for so long, wherever we've been, whichever
Mhm.
direction our tribe decided to go when they fled or were exiled.
Right.
And we bring back these cultures, but at the end of the day, we are one. We're one nation. Whereas that's
We have a very unique story, man. We have a very, and
exactly,
it
I
works
mean,
beautifully, and really for the most part it works beautifully, because now we're all marrying each other. Coming back, we're mixing back into each other again,
hmm.
you know. But I also noticed that our our pride, our Israeli pride, our Jewish pride is influencing some other groups. If you really pay attention, you notice that, you know, I'm trying to think. I remember listening to these, I think they were Assyrians or Armenians, these two guys with a podcast. They were saying, what would you say if Assyrians wanted to establish their own state again after all this time? I think some minorities in parts of the world, even Copts, are thinking, the Jews came and reconquered their land after 2,000 years. Maybe we should do the same.
It's anyone with um good intentions when looking at anything about the Jews should be inspired by the Jews. Not just good intentions, but also with a low level of resentment. Because it's easy, I think that's to explain the other horseshoe theory, which we touched on earlier, the both the right and the left turning to the Jews. It's when you have a life that you're not satisfied with, you don't like yourself, you don't like your own culture, and your society is getting more and more expensive and difficult, you're going to find a scapegoat. And which better scapegoat than the 1%, which is disproportionately successful? Um, yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon.
Couldn't agree more. Well, what do you think about anti-Semitism in the West now? Because you're somebody that really promotes Aliyah. Do you think that we're at a point where this could potentially go south and never come back? Meaning in places even like the US, definitely in London, France, etc. Do you think part of it could be you being a little bit overreactive, or do you think this, meaning when the war is hopefully when this is over, maybe, hopefully uh Israel takes over Gaza, because otherwise we'll go back to pre-October 7th again, and the West Bank as well. But being that this war has gone on for so long and we're getting a taste, the West, Jews in the West are getting a taste, a really big taste of Jew hatred. Where do you think it's leading?
Europe's done. Not just because there's so many Muslims or there's so much extremism or there's so many factors, but the main factor is the governments are pushing it in that direction and gaslighting us all the way.
Why are they destroying the
I
what
do
is it?
believe it's to do with these massive global corporations. Like, for example, the WHO has made European countries sign up to them dictating and calling the shots the next time there's a pandemic. So unelected officials are going to decide the rules on the next pandemic, which just
Mhm.
sounds fantastic. Um, but in the UK, you're having thousands of people arrested for what they say on social media. Meanwhile, 250,000 cases of underage British girls being raped and kidnapped and
Right.
drugged.
The Pakistani gangs,
And
yeah.
they, yeah, Muslim gangs. Forget
Yeah.
Pakistani, Muslim. They
Yeah,
won't say
yes,
Muslim. Yeah.
correct.
Because they could be Bangladeshi as well. Who gives a shit? There's a reason they target little white girls. Um, you can't look at all these things happening at once, as well as the thing I said about more British Muslims having left and joined ISIS than actually fighting for the British Armed Forces. You can't have that going on, as well as the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, a Pakistani Muslim, saying Muslims contribute to society and diversity, and Islam is so inclusive. It's just we're being lulled.
Yeah.
We have been lulled. We've well and truly been lulled to the point where Jews are like, oh, we'll stay and fight, or we'll be like, they're like, oh, we'll leave when it's too bad. What does too bad look like? What does 60, something like 60% of British Muslims in a survey, so the ones that have admitted it, are sympathetic towards Hamas? What does getting too bad look like? Do they have to be hacking your door down with an axe for it to be getting too bad?
Yes, honestly,
That's
dude.
that's it. That is it.
Sammy, yes. For most of the Jews living in places like England, New York, the United States, Canada, they're not going to leave until it becomes uh, what the hell is it called? The in Iraq. Help me out here. Why am I forgetting the word?
Caliphate.
No, no,
Oh,
no. In
oh, the
Iraq,
Farhud. The
the
Farhud.
Farhud. It takes something like that, or God forbid,
It
Nazi
will.
Germany. Because man, we have it good until we don't. Like I'll tell you now, man, South Florida for Jews is phenomenal.
Mm,
Phenomenal. You don't feel it's much better than New York. In New York, you see parade, you have these like
hmm
protests and there's a
hmm
large Muslim population and you really feel the pro-Palestinianism. There's a lot of wokies. You feel it heavily. In South Florida,
I can't wait to get to New York.
you don't feel it. You don't feel it like said this, and it's a problem because so well, I wouldn't say it's a problem, it's fantastic, but I'm also in my head, it's like, well, I'll enjoy it while it lasts. I don't know if it'll be 10 years, 20 years, 2 years. At least the good part in Florida is Jews can carry, and I would say
I
most
wouldn't
of
be
us.
surprised if there's a wall around Florida pretty soon. But London, people don't realize how big London is.
A
So you
war
have
around
these
Florida?
a wall,
No, oh, a wall, yeah, bro.
and not for the Gators.
Yeah, bro. But you know what? The local government here is very pro-Israel, staunchly pro-Israel. So for the time being, it's great,
Mm,
man. I live in hardcore Jewtown, so it's
that's nice. I'm looking forward to visiting, man. I'll be there in the first week of November.
you doing it, you giving it, you're speaking?
Oh yeah, I'm doing a tour. Starting in New
Where?
York, flying back to Israel from Miami. So I'm going New York. I'm hopefully going to Chicago, DC, Kansas, apparently. There's a few other places I'm being invited to. I haven't.
Kansas.
Yeah, a couple people really want me to come out to Kansas. It
Oh.
would be great.
Are
Um,
you speaking to Jews in Kansas or
yeah,
Christians?
yeah, synagogue community.
Oh.
Hopefully Texas. You mentioned the Christians. Hopefully Texas. I'll get down there and spend a good amount of time in Texas. I
That's
love Texas.
yeah.
One of the few places I have been in the States. And LA on the other end, and back to Miami. And hopefully I can talk to as many people as will listen. Hopefully host some self-defense sessions, and I just want to inspire and wake up the people. We are in, as I said, I wrote an article called Priorities. We're living with outdated priorities, which will see our societies completely collapse if they haven't already.
Mhm.
Um, Priorities of degree, education degree, uh, pension, mortgage, and all these long-term priorities. And we're looking at an existential threat which might take down society this year. And we're still thinking, oh, I've got to be investing in my pension.
Right.
It's like we need to slap ourselves really hard in the face, and if that doesn't work, do it again. So sort of thing. We are facing a large proportion, at least in Europe. America very much has it. I don't actually want to downplay it. America, just because you've got a leader that actually fights for you, it's no given. It's not like, hooray, Trump won, it's some miracle. Let's all go back to our
Oh no, but if
hamburger
it was
eating
a
lifestyles. It's we are on the brink right now. And yeah, it's lovely and safe in Israel. It's way safer in Israel for Jews. I don't care what you say about the rockets or anything. Way safer
100%,
here than anywhere else. Yeah.
100%.
But Israel relies on these. How is Israel going to survive if all of Europe and America fall? It's not possible. So
Yeah.
we have a responsibility. But I do say this: Jews should leave Europe because Europe is fighting to become an Islamic communist society, caliphate. Um,
Sammy, I would push back on that though. I would only push back and say Israel will survive because of the man upstairs.
Agreed. This is true.
Europe.
Economically and all this nonsense, all of these. So see, even my head is stuck in these societal structures. People see, and I'm thank you for saying that because people are stuck in society The world is this. Society is most people's world, and that's it. Like they might go to a nice park with some big trees every so often, but people don't understand. You step out of your house in, I don't know, Texas. Nature's trying to kill you in every way it can
Mhm.
immediately. And people, because we've got all these creature comforts and we live these societal lives structured around comfortability, we no longer know hardship
Right.
unless you're one of the people that trains or meditates or does one of these things, and you put yourself through voluntary hardship. These are the people that still have a functioning mental health. I really don't believe in
So true.
a functioning mental without a physical which you're constantly working on and challenging.
I'm gonna be going to the gym after this podcast, my dude. I got legs and shoulders to do, baby. Legs and shoulders to do, baby.
I
Oh
love
boy.
that.
Oh boy.
People, you can't understand the sun. You can't appreciate a sunny day without the rain,
Hmm.
right? Can't appreciate
Hmm.
happiness without sadness. People have thrown the sadness out because it's not convenient to them, and wondering why the happiness is not as sweet as it was, you know? And that's creating, I'm going to use an example of a family member. She's more afraid of a gun than the people that want to kill her. You know? That's where we are right now. And that's not unique to anyone. That's ubiquitous. That's more common than people like me or you who take responsibility for themselves and their families' safety.
Couldn't agree
Um,
more.
so the article,
It's
let me just finish on this point. The article is called Priorities because everyone's priority should be number one, staying alive, right? It's like breathing oxygen. That would kill me. The lack of that would kill me pretty quickly. Not sinking underwater, like keeping my boat afloat. And the society is the boat. If we
right.
don't keep that boat afloat, there's no survival is number one. No food, no oxygen, none of your beautiful societal structures, which mean you can order a steak and a cappuccino at a moment's notice. We've been lulled by these beautiful luxuries we've experienced in this weird blip of human history. Human history is brutal. That's what I was talking about
Oh
when you
my
step
God.
outside your house in Texas. Everything's trying to kill you. The sun, the scorpions, the whatever. You know what I mean? It's people, the sandstorms. People don't understand how lucky they've got it. Um,
100%.
and that's what I'm trying to wake people up to just step outside their comfort zone because that's where it starts. It's such a daunting thing. I've taken on this, I quit my real job and and I've been fighting with very little income to no income for the last 18 months. And it's a really interesting and contradictory and difficult task because it's A, make aliyah, B, get stronger and fight. Both, one or the other. It's contradictory. And also, to just take a step back from the Jewish community, it's like I'm telling Western society that they need to get up and fight. But you can't just say get up and fight. What does that mean? That you say something like that to a room of people and they'll be paralyzed because what does that actually mean? There's no, you have to start granular. And the problem is with the structure, the way we live our lives, the understanding of and the appreciation, it's gratitude and comfort is basically the problem. So if we're grateful for everything we have and we put ourselves through hardship, that's the instruction I give people. You're not happy today, you feel like you're off balance, go exercise and you'll appreciate sitting down on the couch. You know,
Totally. Totally.
that's where
Totally.
we're at.
See, Israelis understand this to a large degree. People outside of Israel have a tough time contextualizing it. But I think it's seeped into at least parts of the U.S. What I wanted to ask you for as a finishing thought. I'm going to bring up two names you might have heard of, two people who I very much like, but I don't necessarily agree with on some fundamental things. And so I want to ask you how you view this. Are you familiar with Rudy
I
Rushman?
am. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar with Yirmiyahu? He goes by that Semite
Yes,
on
yes.
Instagram. Okay. Two
Yeah, I like them
wonderful
both.
people. Two
Yeah.
wonderful people. They do incredible things. They've been in the game for a very long time. Both of
I
them
might
are
just say before your point, they are two influencers, which this cannot be said that about most
yeah,
influencers in the Jewish community that actually have a purpose and a cause, rather than just liking their own voice. They are
right,
fantastic in what they
right,
do, but they
right.
they they say things that a lot of people don't agree with, and that's what you have to do to be on that level. So I'm interested in what you're going to say.
Right. So I think it's awesome. And I think both of them are doing incredible things. They're bridging gaps, they're promoting
Mm.
peace. They got a lot of skin in the game, and I have a lot of love for both of them. With that said, sometimes I don't think the peace, meaning there's an absolute necessity for it. And I think it's very important to promote it. The reason I bring up their names is because sometimes I find that we're pushing peace too much when what we really need is respect. And I find that oftentimes, as much as dialogue is great, and we should be able to sit down with quote unquote Palestinians and have conversations about what we could do to move forward, if they refuse to believe that we should even be there, that we should rule the country, our peace is going to be met with a knife or a gun.
You can't negotiate with someone who's come to
Yeah.
kill you.
So the reason I say this is to say that, you know, for example, Rudy likes to say, "Oh, well, there's no such thing as this land without Israelis and Palestinians on it, Jews." And to a large degree, I disagree with that. Meaning, I would be okay with them being here, but not if they do not truly accept that this is now a Jewish-ruled land. This is Israel. This is the land of the Jewish people. And if they're not willing to come to terms with that, I don't need them to love the idea. But I'm not going to sit there and ask them if they're okay with it. You
Yeah.
understand? So I just want to get your thoughts on that, because I just don't think we're ever going to get anywhere until we get rid of this two-state solution nonsense, until we make it very clear to them that there's never going to be any sort of two-state nonsense. Otherwise, we're begging for peace with people that very clearly don't want it. So,
First of all, biggest mistake in Israel's history, two of them. Giving
yeah,
up the West Bank and Judea and Samaria, and giving up Gaza. It's like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It should have ended after twice. After they
right,
rejected it in 48 and they rejected it again. How many? What are we on? Eight, nine, maybe
right,
more. Two-state
right,
solutions. What? It's a fantasy. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in their mind. Why does it exist in anyone else's mind?
right.
Um, it's just another delegitimizing tactic. Um, Bottom line is, yes, it's a lovely idea, but so's communism. It's like there's some really lovely ideas, or like some of the worst people have the best intentions. And
Hmm.
I said it just before you finished speaking. You can't negotiate with people who've come to kill you. And how much of it is our responsibility to educate them out of this? The responsibility falls on their educators. And if their first leader, before Israel was a state, went and lived with the Nazis and started a Jewish pogrom, what do you want from us? Yes, we're not perfect. Yes, there's settler violence. What do you want from us? We're protecting our families, and you're 100% right. We need respect, and there's only one thing that Islamists respect. It's a bigger gun.
100%.
It's like what you can
The
promote these
West
beautiful
doesn't like
ideas all you
this. The
want.
West has a very hard time with this logic, but the reality is Muslims in general, and you want to say there are peaceful ones, sure, but the religion itself breeds an idea that unless you can stop me, unless you can physically stop me, I will take over you. I will take you over. You've heard of this guy Ali Dawa? I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I just screen recorded a video which I'll send to you of him saying, unless the British actually stop us, we're taking over. And one thing he notices, because he hates Israel with a passion, he knows when he makes a statement like that, that is Israel knows that that's what their plan is, and we're not letting them get away with it. because we know that if we let them get away with it, it's over. The Brits don't feel it the same way. They're like, whatever, take us over. They're not going to do it. At least with us, they stay. We don't have that luxury of being lulled and we have been, by the way. We've also been very
Mhm.
much lulled by the liberal
October the
Israelis
7th
and
is a result of that.
the idiots, quite frankly, in the Israeli
Mhm.
left, who are
It's the
extremely
comfort that
naive.
gets them. Remember, it's the comfort. If you don't feel real problems, you create them,
But
right?
I think I also think it's this peacenik thing of we just don't want to be the bad guys. It's some people have a really hard time being hated. They really don't. Some people want everyone to love them.
Well, where does that come from? That's what I'm getting at. It comes from the comfort. When you have so much comfort and so little problems, this is why Israel's more, you said it earlier, more immune to all of this stuff than historically than America, because they don't have the comfort. They have the existential threat all the time.
Right.
Um, when you have so much comfort, you become and you're fed this self-hating mentality and ideology, that
Hmm.
you're the oppressor and that you're built on the shoulders of whatever. Yeah. It becomes this guilt and you want to suppress yourself and we're at the point where we have suicidal empathy for people who want to kill us. We become unable to listen to them. Like all we need to do is read their book.
It's
Like
crazy.
it's public. You can
Yeah.
download a
And
PDF
they
in
tell
English, in Spanish. It's like and they'll hand you one for free.
it's nuts.
We are unable to process you can't process a danger if you don't know what danger looks like. If your whole reality is just comfort, how could you possibly identify, let alone combat danger? That's why Israel, largely, yeah, we have these lefties which actually buzz past my window in a very annoying and loud protest over
Right.
God knows what. Um, it's just it's impossible with them, which is why you have to why with my fight, I'm starting granular. We've got to be grateful for what we have in our lives, understand that it's literally a dreamlike state and period in the 1.5 million years of human history. We have this 50, 80 years of abundance and peace and freedom of speech. It's ridiculous. Every day we should be grateful and we should be voluntarily putting ourselves through hardship. I'm starting granular because it's the only way to get through to people. You can't go after their opinions because when you have all this comfort, you attach your emotions to these beautiful ideologies like we're talking about, this peace and all that. So you can't go after it directly. You have to go, well, you got to go down a level. And these people are at risk of pushing their societies to hostile takeover. And the reason in Israel we understand it so well is because we don't have the luxuries. We have the luxuries of being able to order food and put air conditioning on, yes, and that makes a lot of us uh, very comfortable. But we also have our sons and our fathers and our daughters going and fighting
Right.
to keep the enemy away, to keep our families safe all the time. Um, and that reminds you of a little something. That, just to go back to the name of my article, it shifts your priorities. In England, I felt that people live to work. Their whole life is their career. And I find it so sad. Here, people work to live. They fund their incredible, beautiful, beach-loving, coffee shop hopping like lifestyles by working. They don't, they're just to go back to this is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. This is the world and this is society. People in the West are stuck here. In Israel, people are more aware of the world
Hmm.
because of the existential threat. And I think we had a period of comfort, and we had COVID, which did no good for people, not their mental health and not their perception of reality, being stuck inside with TikTok. Um, that led to October the 7th. We had a moment of complacency that we've never seen. Um, but we could be about to see the same level, if not a much more horrendous level of complacency in the West. Um, and it takes individuals taking a long, hard look in the mirror and saying, am I grateful for what I have? Am I too comfortable? Do I really, what does when it gets too bad, what does that actually look like? Because
Hmm.
you can read everything all you want. You can see these horrible videos of anti-Semitic attacks or anti-Western, anti-Judeo-Christian enormous protests. Take a big deep breath and a sigh, talk about it around the dinner table, and then go back to your regular 9 to 5 loving lives. Yes, you got to keep food on the plate, but unfortunately, we are facing an existential threat. So, and that takes everyone to wake up to, not just the political class or whatever.
Astute. Very well said, man.
Rafi, it's been a pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure, man. We will wrap it up here. I hope you enjoy. I mean, you just said you loved it. I did as well. Fantastic discussion. Hopefully we can have more of these when you do plan on visiting Miami. We gotta hang out, man. Be great.
Absolutely. I'm coming to the States between October the 7th and November the 12th. I'll be speaking, like I said, wherever anyone will have me. Um, and if you want to get an idea of what that will be about, listen to this podcast start to finish and then do that again. Um, but also, please check out my articles on my Twitter as well as linked in my bio on Instagram. And I'll have a website up very soon. Lots of big things to
Amazing.
come. We are
Amazing.
fighting
Amazing.
for the free world, Akhi. Brother, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Absolutely. But I just want to quickly exit it out. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this amazing episode with Sam. Make sure, of course, to subscribe, like, share, smash the like button. Follow Sammy at Sammy Yahood on Instagram and all the social media accounts, which I will attach in the description. Support this channel with the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. If you have any kind of support link, like Buy Me a Coffee or anything like that, feel free
It's also in
to.
my bio. Thank you, man.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.